This is how it begins. This is where the story starts. So there are 16 concessions, gold concessions in Ghana, whose royalties are being dedicated to this project. Now, this project is about as was explained before, getting money that we will get in the future today. So the point is, every year, mining concession owners, and mind you, a lot of big mining concession owners are not Ghanaian companies. They are not Ghanaians, they're foreigners. A lot of people who work in the mines, however, are Ghanaians. I think most of the basic hands are Ghanaians. The middle level may be some foreigners. So South Africa, India, Australia, all over the world, they come here to mine. And you know some of the mining companies. So all of these mining companies have what they call concession. The concession is basically a document given to you to tell you that you can go and mine at number 11 Josiah Tongogara Street. That's the address of Metro TV. 11 Josiah Tongogara Street at Laboni. You can go and mine there. So that's what they say. So they give you that, and that is your permission to come here and mine. When you mine a concession, so they call that a concession. So concession is a permission to mine. So when you come and begin to operate your concession, whatever you get, you pay some taxes, and the government has interest in it. You pay all sorts of things, but there's something else that you pay, royalties. So royalties is just, because I have given you my land, you pay me some money when you mine. So those royalties are usually attributed to the president. So the president holds it in trust for the rest of the people of Ghana. So every gold anywhere in Ghana, the royalties are paid to the president. There's another part I have to explain to you. So the law in Ghana is that if wherever you live in Kumasi, you live in Kwadaso, you live in Asokwa, you live in Hacho, you live in Ashoman, you live on Spintex Road, wherever you live, if one morning you wake up and you find gold dust popping out of your land, maybe it rains and then you see some gold coming out, and then you dig and you find a little bit of gold, you are a criminal if you don't report that to the Minerals Commission, because the law is that whatever mineral you find under the earth that belongs to you, that mineral, the earth is yours, the surface is yours, but the mineral is not for you. It belongs to Ghana, is held in trust by the president. So immediately you find that in your house, you have to report to the Minerals Commission. Minerals Commission will then consider your house as a gold territory. They will then consider drafting a concession about it. A concessionaire who buys the concession or is awarded the concession will pay you compensation to move out of the house and stay elsewhere. That compensation will be negotiated between you and the person. And then they pull down your house and then they begin to mine. That becomes a concession. So that's what a concession means, and that's what minerals mean. And all the minerals in Ghana are vested in the president. So the royalties are paid to the president. Now, the interesting point is that royalties are paid upon the gold that the miner gets. So whether the miner declares profit or not, royalties are due. Royalties are negotiated. So not all the concessions have the same royalties. Some are 5%, 3%, 4%, 17%. We have to go into our history, for instance, to see which government has given us the best royalties. And every day in Ghana, we are finding concessions. So since Kwame Nkrumah's days, we have been giving concessions. Up until today, the gold is not finished. It's not going to finish. That's why they call it the Gold Coast. We have so much gold in Ghana. So the concessions are negotiated all like that. What this deal is that 16 big concessions have been selected. There are about 50 of them across the country that various presidents have signed and the Minerals Commission have signed. 16 of these of the concessions, the royalties therefrom are going to be attributed to this transaction. This transaction is going to be involved with at least 16 of the concessions. So royalties from 16 concessions are going to be isolated and is going to be for this transaction. Now this one, the box to my right, is the MIIF, the Minerals Income and Investment Fund. All the royalties from the 16 concessions are going into the Minerals Income and Investment Fund. Okay, now the Minerals Income and Investment Fund is setting up another company. That's where it gets interesting and it gets exciting. It also gets confusing and political. The minerals, so up until this level, there's no political disagreement between the NPP and the NDC. They both agree that royalties can be put together, ring-fenced and isolated, and put in the Ghanaian company in terms of a fund. They both agree on that. The disagreement between the two begins here, where the Minerals Investment and Income and Investment Fund is purporting to set up a company called Agyapa. Earlier on called Asase, but now changed to Agyapa. This is where the confusion is, but this is the catch. So according to the story, the Minerals Income and Investment Fund and Agyapa are both 100% owned by the government of Ghana. GOG represents the government of Ghana. So that's what it is. Both of them are owned by the government of Ghana. So the MPP are making an argument that Agyapa is owned by the government of Ghana. This one says this one is also owned by the government of Ghana. Now, why is Agyapa set up? Agyapa is set up to do something. So what the Minerals Income and Investment Fund has done is that all the 16 royalties that it has, the concessions, the royalties from 16 concessions that it has given all that to Agyapa. The MIF has given all of its stuff to Agyapa. Also, Agyapa now holds that all those royalties. But government of Ghana owns MIF. Government of Ghana also owns Agyapa. NDC's first disagreement, and in this presentation I'm going to be telling you so that you can make your own decision. What we want to do is to bring it down so everybody can understand it. Okay, so what's happening here is that NDC say that they do not support the establishment of Agyapa. They don't. They think that whatever Agyapa will do, this one can do. So they don't understand why Agyapa must be set up. They don't understand it. We'll tell you later on what Agyapa is going to do. But the first point of disagreement is that NDC said they don't support Agyapa. So during the debate, the NDC say that they did not support the amendments to the law because they passed the law. The Mineral Investment Fund law was passed. It's an Act of Parliament 978, I believe. It has been passed, and tonight we'll show you some things out of it. It has been passed. So Agyapa, they didn't support it. This is the interesting part. So Agyapa is going to have power to list 49% of its shares on the London Stock Exchange. I mean, let me put it simply, to sell off 49% of its shares on the London Stock Exchange. Remember, Agyapa is 100% owned by the government of Ghana. Agyapa is a private company. It's a special purpose vehicle. That's what they call it. So it's a special purpose vehicle that the MIF put in place by the power of the law, and their responsibility is initially to sell off 49% of the royalties, the royalties from the 16 concessions. I'll tell you how much the estimates are soon. We're going to get to all that because I'm sure people are asking what's the value of that. Yeah, we'll get there. So 16 concessions, and the royalties thereof have been ring-fenced and isolated for a fund created by Parliament. That fund has created a special purpose vehicle and given all the royalties to that special purpose vehicle. That special purpose vehicle is also owned by the government of Ghana. That special purpose vehicle, called Agyapa, is expected to list 49%, sell off 49% of those shares and collect money from people and give them equity. That means when you pay, you become an owner of Agyapa. All of those people, it could be one person, by the way, it could be two, could be three, it could be four. All of those people who pay the money for the purpose of the listing will now be 49% owners of Agyapa, and the government of Ghana will be 51%. That's how Agyapa would look like when the listing is finished. So it will first be listed on the London Stock Exchange, and then there will be a secondary listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange. So this is depicting the Ghana Stock Exchange, and there will be a secondary listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Well, what secondary listing means is that after people have bought it on the London Stock Exchange, they will now people will be able to buy what was bought on the London Stock Exchange in the secondary listing. There's also the possibility that they may not be able to sell all 49%. They may sell 45%. There'll be 3% left, and that 3% will be listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange. So Agyapa will be listed on two stock exchanges, London Stock Exchange and Ghana Stock Exchange. Altogether, 49% of the shares will be gone to the private investors who buy. So this is where we are. Let's move on. Hold it. We're coming down slowly. Okay. So there's a suspicion. The suspicion is coming from the National Democratic Congress. Now, what is the suspicion? The suspicion of the NDC is that, given the circumstances surrounding the setup of Agyapa, the 49% interest that will be sold has either already been traded informally, or the Ghanaian people behind Agyapa actually know who that 49% shareholder would be. Further suspicion is that the 49% shareholder is people who are in Ghana, in government, and who are going to go behind other people to buy the shares, something like that. So the suspicion of the NDC is that they are not confident that the 49% that will be traded on the London Stock Exchange will be traded freely, as they say, and it will be traded on the morning of the trading. They suspect that the Ghanaian people already know who will buy it, and there's been some form of arrangement. They ground their suspicion in some things that have happened. The first point of their suspicion is that Agyapa is also a company registered in what they call a tax haven in the United States. That's it. They say Agyapa is registered in a tax haven in the United States. So when a company is registered in a tax haven, they, members of parliament, or we journalists, or you in your home, a legitimate qualified Ghanaian who's part of the royalties that are being discussed, you cannot find out who the shareholders of the company are. And that company will have tax exemptions. And you cannot get all the information about the company because the rules under which the company is registered does not permit you to ask some questions and get some information. Because they do not know these things, they are worried that if people buy the 49% and they want to find out who are behind those people, they will not find it. Their suspicion is that this arrangement has been created so that some people will go behind and buy the shares, etc., etc. I don't know. But that's a suspicion of the NDC. That's one of their suspicions. The second suspicion they have is what we are going to now, the valuation. Okay, let's move on. So we put the word valuation there. The NDC are also making an argument that the valuation of the shares may not be correct. They are making that argument as well. Now, this is how they make the argument. Yeah, let's move on. This is how the NDC make that argument of the valuation matter. They make that argument this way because they say that Ghana earns 200 million from concessions. Mind you, we are talking about 16 concessions, not all the concessions. This analysis is grounded on all the concessions. So NDC said that of all the concessions that Ghana gets, this is 200 million that we get every year. And I told you the concessions, some of it is 3%, 4%, 5%, but this is what we get. So they multiply that by 15 years, which is the duration of the deal, and you get $2.2 billion. They do not understand why it is being said, and we don't know that for sure, because something they call the prospectus, the documents that will guide the listing on the London Stock Exchange, has not come out yet. And Deputy Minister of Finance, Charles Edouboahin, told listeners to Joy FM's news file that the prospectus are ready, but they don't want to put them out yet because they are going on a market trading. They don't want the information running helter-skelter, so they will in due course. But the document is not out yet. But there's rumor that Agyapa has been valued at $1 billion. So the NDC are saying that if your total is 2.2 billion and you want to value a company that has 16 concessions, which is carrying some 76% of all the royalties, you should not be ending up at $1 billion. You should not be valuing the company at $1 billion. You should be valuing it something close to $2 billion. That's another point the NDC are making. But in response to this, we spoke to investment bankers, and they are telling us that typically when people are going on the stock exchange, you don't go with such a high price because you want as many portfolio managers now, those who buy shares for people, who manage people's money to buy shares for them. They are called portfolio managers. You want as many portfolio managers to be able to get into it. Now, investment bankers are telling us that when people are going on stock exchange, even if you are Microsoft, even if you are Facebook, even if you are Google, even if you are TikTok, when you are going on stock exchange, you go lower so that a lot more portfolio managers can come in. When you have a lot more portfolio managers coming in, your price is actually going to shoot up. So how does the price shoot up? So they say that we want, Agyapa is $1 billion. And so we are going to trade one share at $1. So $1 billion, and $1 billion is equal to 100%. We are selling 49%. So that will get you a little lower than $500 million. And you calculate that, and we say we are issuing 5,000 shares, 10,000 shares, 20,000 shares. So a share is going to be, say, $1 something. Investment bankers tell us that if you do that and you lower the price, you're going to have a lot more portfolio managers qualified to come in. When a lot more portfolio managers qualify to come in and there's a rush for the shares, the share price is going to immediately shoot up. So that's how you see on London Stock Exchange, they announced the beginning of Facebook shares at 9 o'clock at $5 per share. By 10 o'clock, it's gone from $5 per share to $8 per share. By 2 o'clock, it's, so they say, starting at $5 per share and closing at $27 per share. I'm sure you hear that on the news. The stocks for Microsoft today began trading at $5 per share and closed at $30 per share. So that's what investment bankers tell us. That is not so wrong to go on the stock exchange with the value that you think could be 1.5 billion, but you call it 1 billion. That way, you may end up with the value of 5 billion of the company. You can ask your investment banker. So that's what they tell us. But I'm just telling you the two sides of the argument. The NDC's argument is that you cannot have a company that should be valued something around 2 billion and you are going to the stock market and you are calling it 1 billion. That's what the NDC is saying. We have to add that 12 of the concessions are producing, 4 of them have not started producing. That's very important. That speaks to how much you can value the royalties. And that speaks to how much you can value the royalties, because of the 16 concessions that are available, 12 are producing, 6 of them are not producing. Hopefully they'll produce and it can become bigger. It will increase the share price because there's going to trade. The other thing I have to say is that the setting up of Agyapa, let's get to the next one, the Agyapa box, so I can show them. I said that Agyapa has responsibilities to list on the London Stock Exchange, but that's their primary responsibility. Agyapa will have more things to do. Agyapa will then have to, when the money comes in, 20% of it will be awarded to local small-scale miners. Chairman Untumi talked a lot about that, and that's why he's excited about this deal. Agyapa is supposed to get into the country, engage small-scale miners, and see how they can use the money, the concession, the connection with London Stock Exchange to invest in all the small-scale miners. Now, gold mining is very complicated and very expensive. Part of the reason why Ghanaians have not been able to do it. So, another argument in favor of the deal is that this is going to empower Ghanaian gold miners, and they're going to move from small-scale to large-scale. You can't compete with Anglo Gold Ashanti, which is a South African company. You can't compete with Goldfields Ghana Limited, which is a South African company. You can't compete with other companies that are Australian companies if the investment required is 100 million, because you don't have it. But with this, the Agyapa are able to raise money, put small-scale miners together. They are going to insist on community mining, where wherever a mine is, 20% of that mine is operated, run, and sold by the natives in that community, 20% of it. So that's what those who are excited about this deal are saying. This is the first major bold step to invest in local mines and let them become great and get them also to benefit from money. So they are saying that if we get whatever we get from the first listing in London from Agyapa, that amount of money is going to be bigger than any amount of money that we have gotten in gold mining royalties. And I have the data here, put on our Facebook page. If you look at the data, everything that we have gotten in gold royalties since the last 10 years will not compare to what we will get from the Agyapa. Even though Agyapa is selling future royalties, we have to bear that in mind as well. But at a goal, getting money at a goal, we are not going to get $500 million that Agyapa is at the minimum expected to bring to Ghana at the first listing at the London Stock Exchange. So you have to bear that in mind, and then we sort of check it out and see how it is.